Hey, it's Joel Walsman, CEO and Master Electrician of Jefferson Electric. Good morning. Today, with urgency, we're going from this to this, like smooth jazz, and you can join us. All right, this is Nick. Nick is our superintendent for the job today. We actually came out here not because of this panel, but because of a porch remodel. It's going to be a tidy little space. It's going to be really, really pleasant on a beautiful street, really bring indoor living outside. However, we need some new circuits, overhead heaters, plug power, and so we've got this thing to deal with behind us, and that's what we're doing today. We're able to time the job with vacancy in the home so that when we take the whole thing offline, we've got a battery to keep the freezers working, but we're not going to inconvenience the homeowner by taking them offline. Cool. Any do's or don'ts, housekeeping information for us today?
Everything's good, it's yours.
Okay. Our goal is to have this baby up and running and all circuits labeled before end of day, and we'll just kind of plug through until it's done.
Good luck.
That chest freezer should be fine, but it is the one she worried about, and I told her I'd plug it in.
Gotcha.
So I'll put it in a place where it's plugged in and we have access to that. Okay.
We'll see.
How does this for a plan of attack? We'll create a little space here, and this. So we've got a working room violation here, right? That's not 3 feet.
Yeah.
That should have already been out of here. Unfortunately, we're going to have to just suffer for it. But what they're going to do is, you've got about 8 inches between fridge and wall. You've got about a foot here, 2 inches there, and then they're going to put in a smaller sink. So by the time they collapse all that, we'll have about 4 feet. So that's been communicated, and that's happening. And then we got to watch out for all this alcohol. In fact, maybe we even pull this out of the way.
Basket.
Give us some elbow room so a wire doesn't catch that and yank it off. I'm going to put it on their workbench. We'll just have to remember to put it back.
You got 246. It looks like Space Saver. This is a 30
Yep.
and then a 40.
Hopefully we have all the right breakers.
40 and a 30. Okay. I like to do mine color coded, like all my 20 amp yellow wire, so that.
Okay.
And then I'll wrap it and then write what spot, if you want to put it right back in the same spot, what breaker it lands on. Like,
Nice.
I don't know how you.
And then we
like
can
to do
correlate
yours.
that back to the schedule, which is very sparsely labeled.
Right. But at least every
Right
breaker
here.
will be right back to where it's at. So are we labeling the panel today? As
Yeah.
well? Okay. So does it really matter then if I do all of that? If we're gonna, or do you think it'll still save time? At least we'll get some right.
A lot of times I will only label the ones that are either unclear, like if it's a 2-pole 20, right? We got to label that white is landing on a breaker so we don't accidentally put it back on a single pole.
Yeah, I already did that as well. All the white wires.
Perfect. And then the other thing is if it's labeled there, we'll want to capture that information, so I'll put that circuit number on it. You good with that?
Yeah. That circuit label on that. Okay.
Mm-hmm. That way
It's
we'll
over
know
there.
it lands back.
I mean, I could put the number of breaker spots so it can go right back in, and exactly how it is already.
I don't know if it'll fall that way because it's coming from all over the place and it's hodgepodge
Gotcha.
as far as what will reach. So that would be my
Just
concern.
Make, some pigtails or whatever, but it probably not look good.
If we can avoid it, yep. Thankfully, the neutrals are landing on the bottom, so there's some length there, but those may all be pigtailed. What?
I've seen some old wires as well. Like right here.
Let's just be curious and lay eyes on a couple things. So that 40 is on that's 10 gauge, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So that'll want to be a 30.
Which one?
Or
The 40.
Mhm.
So both of these we're going to put on the 30.
Yep. We'll figure out what that's going to.
That's good then. That we won't have to. We'll just use regular 30s. Hopefully we'll have just a whole bunch of 30s.
And then we'll want to keep an eye out and make sure we don't have 15 gauge wire landed on 20 amp breakers. There's another 10 gauge. Okay. I think I'm ready for you to start taking that apart.
Okay, I'll start.
I'll get you a light.
Tape.
We'll take special note.
White, yellow. I like to do white for my 15, yellow for my 20. Keep it
Cool.
simple. And
I like
then
it.
Orange, same thing.
Okay.
If I don't have orange, I'll use something else to label a 10 gauge wire.
Got my stuff box here if you need anything. I'm gonna grab my work light. my workbench. I'll start putting this new panel together, get some measurements on that so we know if we're replacing the exterior portion. Oh, take a dip, take a dive. Here at the air conditioner, taking a look at it, max fuse size is 45, minimum is 30. This is probably already on a 30 or a 40, but it's worth checking because that's one of the most common things that is incorrect. 2-pole 30 amp breaker, people just slap it on there all day long, and sometimes that's oversized, and that's going to show up when you go to sell the house. That's always part of the diligence process when you're swapping a panel, is check wire and appliances and make sure things are properly sized, and use that as a sales pitch, right? If you're talking about the diligence process to your customer at the time of the estimate, and they don't hear anybody thinking or talking like this, you're going to differentiate yourself. So there it is, checked. We'll make sure that corresponds to what's inside. All good. I like working in a nice part of town like this. It's a beautiful street, super quiet. I mean, everybody who lives on this street has like really made it in life, you know? And you can leave your van unlocked. You don't have to worry about anything getting burgled. However, they may be locking their houses because they're workmen on the street, you know? So it's always something to fear. Guys, this is my go-to electrical panel. This is what I call in the good, better, best spectrum, this is better right here. So it's a lot of Americans kind of want, I'll take that middle option. This is the middle option. At the top of the line, you've got span. It's fantastic. You're going to pay a ton more money. You're going to get a ton more functionality and control with a top tier emerging company that's really going to offer a lot. However, your traditional like Square D Homeline, Siemens, like from EPro, I'll still put it in. I don't hate it, but this is better. The Leviton breakers actually are the only breakers, as I'm told, that surpass the UL standards. They also have over-the-air firmware updates for the arc fault breakers so that you can get updated firmware to avoid nuisance trips. I'm not aware of any other breaker type that can do that. In addition, the breaker snaps in such a fashion that it's toolless installation. There it is. And it's got a nice indicator light, easy on off, and the connections are at the terminals on the sides. So real systematic. You can come torque all your terminals to the same torque, lace it all in there real nicely. Plenty of neutral terminals, plenty of ground terminals. This is a 66 space panel. I'm going to drop a link to this thing in the description, and hopefully Leviton picks up a sponsorship because they need to. Hello. So there are 36 ground terminals at the top here. It's interesting that Leviton does this. There's one that's for 2 watt, one that's for up to 250 kc mil, 4 that are for number 2, and the rest, the other 36, are standard. In addition, it comes with 3 13 terminal ground bars, so you can distribute that. I'm about to install those. And then it's a plug-on neutral panel, so you have 66 neutral terminations, so you really can save all of that for the grounds. In this case, there's no exterior disconnect. This is the first means of disconnect right here. So neutrals and grounds are common. That means you can land them on the same bars. However, 1 neutral per terminal. That's real important there. This panel is 56 inches long, standard 14.5 wide, and they've done justice. Look at this. How often do you see an electrical panel that doesn't have knockouts all down the side? Look, they did it top to bottom here. Top to bottom, the whole thing, both sides. Both the top and the bottom, left to right. The back of the panel, they're knockouts galore. Look at this. Look at this. I hate it when manufacturers are so stingy and they'll give you like, there's 1 concentric knockout up to 2.5 inches in the back of this. It's at the top, it's everywhere. And then in addition to that, they've foil sealed the penetrations. So this panel is tighter, right? It's gonna do a better job. My thought is with that foil, it's gonna do a better job containing an arc or a spark if that should occur. And then it looks great. It looks really great. Bruce, you know, it just crossed my mind. Did they supply a cover for this panel? That's the one thing. The covers in the panels come separately because you can get a glass front or a clear front or a solid front. I requested it. You don't think so?
It wasn't in the material.
Well, there's realization number 1. We don't have a cover. Smart mouth.
It's in the van. I'll double check it in a while.
I mean, you would have noticed it. I'm going to start a running list of what we need. There are a couple of breakers that were just coming in today. About 48 circuits existing, transferring to a 66 space panel. We considered creating some room over here on the wall and putting in a sub panel, but that was actually going to be more expensive, right? Buying a larger panel like this is not astronomical. I upcharged $300 to go to a larger panel. It would have been $1,200, maybe more, to add the sub panel. So being able to find something of this capacity, put it all in one place, homeowner goes to one spot, finds the issue, flips the breaker.
I was intimidated when I first started of any panel. It didn't matter how good it looked. I was intimidated of the panel.
Yeah, it's true.
I was just like, I don't want no part of that. I'll stay with the receptacles. And
I was hearing from Justin right after the service, and it was a gritty message. So that was, you know, engendered then gritty conversations. But he was talking to Porfy, and Porfy was like, do we want to create video content, or we just want to get jobs done? Like, what do you want here? And so Justin's like, but just think of the impact, and think of this. And he's like, ultimately, Porf, you're nervous. You run away from the things you're afraid of. And Porf's like, no, I'm not. He's like, yeah, think about it. Think of what could be left on the table in this situation right here. If you don't learn to slay, like, dude, next time you're on a job site, be like, bro, mic me up. Let's go. I've learned so much from you, Porf. You have something to share. It's like, dang, wow. That's some preaching right there. So I'm planning out the knockouts in the top of the panel. Looks like center one is actually 1.5 inches, oddly enough. Usually we use 2 inch for 200 amp. And then everything else is a 1/2 inch. There's 1 3/4 right there coming from the left. I'll be mindful of that. Sorry, getting all in your space. Okay, so it's a total of 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 at the top, more or less, and then 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 on the left. I'm going to hold off on those. We're going to land at the top. How does this sound for process? We'll land the top first because I think we have a little bit more length on the side. And then we'll actually punch the knockouts in once we know where we want those to terminate. So hopefully they can come straight in and land.
sounds good.
And we don't have to, you know, run down and then over. So we'll hold off. We'll just do the top for now. Okay. So here I have cardboard boxes I've placed on top of the customer's appliances. See, washer, dryer. Approve? Disapprove? Drop your thought in the comment. Am I a bad electrician? The span panels are at least NEMA 3R rated. That means you can put them outside. They're made for like more advanced renewable energy in states like California, where a lot of the panels are outside because it's warm weather, and that's just how they've traditionally done it. Because interior space is so scarce here in the Midwest, we're not paying as much per square foot. So there are multiple reasons for that. This is an indoor rated panel, NEMA 1, so you can't put this baby outside. So SPAN has got a rationale for why they do that with their panels. And this is a different concept that kind of has wider application across the US. I'd say most panels are inside. I don't know what percentage that is, 80%? How did we get this gig? Well, it's an interesting question, right? We do a lot of work in this part of town, which is a very affluent part of town, very desirable. All the companies are competing to get in here, and we've got branded trucks, we post yard signs, and a builder, been in business for a super long time. He's having a really good year, and the electrician he's used for 17 years can't keep up. He's got 3 guys, that's the owner and two of his nephews, and they can't keep pace with the builder's volume, so the builder decided to try us on for size. Interestingly enough, I proposed surge protectors to him for the first time. I don't think he'd really encountered them before. Explained Article 230.67, 2020 NEC is now required. And then the next weekend, we've had a lot of storms sweep through here, but man, the next weekend, massive power issue in his immediate vicinity of his home, blew out a ton of appliances in the house. And he said, Joel, how about you just come out on Monday and put in a surge protector for me? I'll take one of those too. So we are stepping into doing some electrical remodel work for him, which is good. And then as we evaluate sites, we're finding opportunity there as well. So here's my beef service personnel show up, whether it's to my house or from my car or anywhere else, and they're myopic, right? They're looking at exactly what you asked them to do. They're not looking around. They're not considering the big picture. They're in, they're out, they're on to the next job because they're busy, right? But that's the most valuable customer, where you already are. You're face to face with the decision maker, and you've got your truck at the curb, and all the opportunity is right here in front of you. No more travel time. It's right here. Whether you perform it now or whether you just sell it now, perform it later. For instance, we're going on family vacation. True story. We've got the family van. It's a 12-passenger. I have 8 kids. There are 10 of us. This 12-passenger is what facilitates us to move as a unit. Important vehicle. It's hard to rent big vans like that, and they are expensive. We need this thing to work and work well. Its value is still over $35K, right? It's not a beater. It's a good, reliable van. We're going to go on vacation. We take it in to get the air conditioning fixed. The oil change was on my mind. I forgot to communicate it. It's overdue. The sticker's right there. It's clear as day, but we forgot. And so we get back home. It's 2 days before vacation. We're like, oh no, we got to dash back up there. I wish the techs, right? The service techs would have just looked around and said, hey, by the way, we'd recommend an oil change because you're overdue. We inspected the brakes, and those look like they're in great shape. Wanted you to have peace of mind, and just marched through the list with us. I would have spent the $85 right then and there, and check the air filter, and like, let's get this thing squared away because we're about to put 1,200 miles on it. So as a service technician, there's a way to do it, there's a way not to do it. But I just walked down in the basement, said, do you mind if I check your panel? And here we are $4,000 later, replacing a panel with a surge protector, hitting our $1 million truck goal. And this is just add-on work right here. I didn't have to market, advertise, anything to do the additional work. All right, enough of that, let's go. So I'm gonna wait on the subsequent connectors because they're gonna block the ones in the back. So we'll get conductors in, screws tightened down, next row of connectors, conductors in, screws tightened down. We'll just work our way up. I like these connectors. There's some that are faster, but these are more serviceable from the standpoint of in and out down the road. So that's pretty handy. This panel comes with 3 13 terminal ground bars, right? And the holes line up and bam, in it goes. So I'm gonna add some of that jazz. Everything's busy, eh?
Yeah, it's a factor. Here, I can barely get in there.
I'm sure this panel is way over. I didn't check it yet, but yeah, look at that. Look at that. See that? Oh, that's what you call aftermarket.
Oh,
they broke it out. They broke it out. Like, this is what it should look like. And that's what it does look like. And they literally removed
just so it can fit
the
on
casing that was in the way with a screwdriver manually in order to get. So all these breakers are trash. Everything's garbage in this panel.
Do you want me to go and kill the main?
They exceeded the rating of the panel. Let's just casually exceed the electrical rating of the panel. This is the old penny in the fuse trick.
It's probably
right
why
here.
some of these screws are really tight to get off.
Yeah, everything's gotten hot. Kill the main
It's off. Okay.
before the main kills us.
Right.
We found a junction wire in the panel. It's terminated right here. One goes out the top, one comes out this conduit. We're not rewiring the house. We just need to put it safely back together. So we've flagged both with brown. That's going to go back together. So everything's getting identified because you never know what kinds of odd complexities you're going to come across or uniquenesses. So you've got to flag your white wires that are being used as ungrounded or hot conductors. Identify those clearly. That's both code and just like gotta get it right now. Because what happens if you take that hot wire and you land it on the neutral bar or vice versa, right? Things start to either not perform or blow up. That's what happens. So the diligence that Bruce is going through here to get everything meticulously labeled.
Save us hours, right?
Right, it's like insurance claim or do your diligence. That's kind of what that is. Let's get this thing de-energized. This is like smooth jazz right here. There is not a lock. There's evidence of an old lock that's not employed. So there was neither a meter seal on here. I'm gonna pull that off. I'm gonna rock the meter out from the top, and I'm only gonna do that when the main breaker is off, de-energized, because if it's not, then when you pull it off, if there's load, it's gonna arc. And if there's a lot of load, it's gonna arc big, and you might burn up the stabs. Likewise, the linemen, when they come out, at the end of the job, they'll put a tester on it to make sure there's not load and make sure that main breaker's off so that they can energize it in the off position. Because if someone's made an error and they throw that sucker in there, line of neutral are crossed, it will explode in their face. Like this becomes a bomb. So better check it first. I'm gonna hold it with 2 hands, wide stance, rock it out from the top, pull it free. It's pretty tight and it needs to be in order to handle 200 amp capacity. I'm gonna put that right there. Piece of cardboard, the top, line side, top side. Remember line and load, alphabetical order. Line comes before load. So that's energized because we have overhead service. I'm gonna stuff a piece of cardboard in there and put the cover back on so that we avoid the likelihood of accidental contact if a kid comes walking over from the neighbors or something. That is standard practice at Jefferson Electric. And then I need to get these conductors, these main service conductors. If they're after the first means of disconnect, now they're feeder conductors. Prior to, they're service conductors. So I'm gonna get these things. Ah, man. Oh, I don't want that to shear off, that's the thing. See if we can beat it around a little bit. I bet there's no no-locks in these screws and they're seized up. Come on, come on. Ah, it's gonna break. Maybe we'll get lucky. Just do that. All right, Bruce, we're de-energized. You can unland the service conductors. What's that? Back inside. Like smooth jazz. All right, let's get these service conductors out of here so we can get the whole panel ripped apart. You said a little chaotic, Bruce?
Yeah, especially for this neutral bar and ground bar. I'm glad we're just not replacing one circuit.
Oh, yeah.
In here and trying
Trying to service this panel would just be a nightmare, right? You'd have to de-energize the whole house just to do that. How do I get to the main neutral? I can't even see it.
I know it's up here. I haven't got to it yet.
I haven't got to. Okay, we're just gonna
there.
hold off on that. So, best practice. Question for you guys. Question for you guys. If you think the answer to the question is geographic specific, i.e., dependent on your soil types, groundwater, things of that nature, then include that in your response. In Indiana, there's a tremendous confusion, and we do have high water tables, moist environment, 42 inches of rain a year, blessed in that regard. But that new panel we're putting in and this old one we're pulling off, they both have a 1/4 inch air gap built into the standoffs on the back of the panel. So this one you can see they still added a block of wood to the back side of the panel. Cattywampus, but it's there. Is a treated or galvanized mounting method required for electrical panels in your area? Or is that 1/4 inch enamel protected panel sufficient to create that 1/4 inch air gap as required by the code? Drop your thoughts in the comments. What is code minimum and what's best practice? All right, you think we can get it? This thing is way torqued. Oh my goodness, I'm like really bearing down on that.
I knew it was
all right,
tough.
let me rework this a little bit. I think I pulled something in my side. Trying to, okay, easy. I'm gonna get more ergonomic, maximize leverage, ready, set. Oh my, that is crazy.
All right, we'll
Big
get some
blue,
busters
big blue,
up,
big
so-
blue. Pull out the
some,
ratchet.
We'll have to get some WD-40 as well.
All right, let's line up this challenge one more time. Some 9-inch pumps here. Borrow Tim's phrase. Ready, set. Oh, I can't. The whole thing's deflecting. Something's gonna shear off. That's crazy. We'll do it the right way. WD-40 and ratchet. Oh, it's a beater. So Bruce is WD-40 that neutral main. Now he's got a Klein tool on there, which is an improvement over this off-brand. Oh, it's Pittsburgh. Yeah, that's kind of off-brand, I'd say. Don't kill your knuckles.
Come down with it.
Come down with it. All right. We're placing bets, ladies and gentlemen. Yes!
Wow.
Too late to place your bet. That terminal that's that tight. Now it could be some moisture, kind of got things seized up, but when it's probably just substantially over torqued. When it's that tight, they can actually just break, right? They split right down the side. They cease providing adequate pressure. It overheats. If it's aluminum, maybe it corrodes because it's now a high resistance connection. and then the whole house turns into a Christmas tree, blinking and twinkling because main neutral has failed, because somebody didn't have a torque tool and didn't regard that with the utmost consideration. So, but we're there now. We're there now.
All right, that was tight.
Progress here. Watch your eyeballs. Safety glasses, highly advised. There's plenty of potential to get just a little piece of copper right across the tip of the cornea, huh?
Poke you, man.
Oh yeah, that'll hurt. You'll remember that one.
It even hurts when you don't get poked in the eye. If you just get poked in the face.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I've bled from that before.
Right?
Yep. Or on the eyelid, it all hurts. There's just a little accessory tie wrap I think they put on this grounding equation here. We've had the whole panel unlanded here for like 30 minutes and we're still just untangling wire. It's insane. In fact, I'd say it's almost obscene. It's kind of tight working conditions. You got bottles of wine on the left, you got concrete on the right, you got a sink right here. This is tedious.
Definitely that.
Tedious. Come on. Come on, let's go. This is where you burn a lot of time.
So
Maybe that's part of what this was?
Yeah.
I just pulled this out of here.
Looks
Like,
well,
it's not connected to anything.
yeah,
It's just
so they had a,
so crowded. It's like the cobweb is reproducing itself.
and this one was attached to a wire nut. It's like just a jumper.
Man, look at this one.
And this one as well, I just now noticed.
I
Yeah.
think that's a number 6 to a number 14. 6 to a 14? Why do you connect a 6 to a 14? Why does one connect a 6? Anyways, that was going up. That's a neutral.
Yeah.
Okay, so these, I get it. These, the main neutral was not double tapped. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tapped. 6 tapped. These are all twined together. I thought maybe this was a big stranded conductor. It's not.
So
This is a
what
whole
was
ton of
this
circuits.
one? Is that the one you cut?
Oh man, I did not. No.
Was that the one?
So this
that
was the
wire
neutral.
nutted to?
This
Oh,
one was,
the red.
and that one's abandoned.
It was just laying there.
Let me put brown on it.
See, here's the neutral bar. The neutral bar was landed though, or the neutral one. Yeah.
So that's a 3-wire?
Yeah, I didn't.
Because
cut
this
that.
one is the one that
No,
had the neutral on it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're saying they didn't use the black on it.
Yeah, so that circuit is no limit. But you know what? I'm going to label it so we don't lose track of it, but this thing's coming completely out. Put it in a separate J box or something. No reason to bring it back into the panel.
That neutral.
Oh, that's my
The
3/4
red
inch
wasn't. Oh,
knockout.
you said the red was used as the neutral as well. Okay.
Yep.
Alright. Well,
There we go.
on the side without my ladder, I don't know if I can. I'm not good.
All right, you ready for me to go outside and yank the main conductors and we can slip this thing out of here?
Yep.
All right, I think that'll be a good incremental step. Here it goes, bros. I'm pulling them out one at a time. Is that neutral marked yet? Yep. Thank you. Here goes. Inch and a half conduit. Bogue. Man, it's tight. Oh my goodness. All right, let's get ergonomically situated. There it goes. Hey, if you put 2/0 copper in an 1.5-inch pipe, drop it in the comments because we're all coming to your house to egg it.
Tall enough. I don't know if he took. So you can take these off 2 ways. You could leave the connector on there, or you can loosen the screws. It looks like he did on these front ones. So we'll just have to put new connectors on there.
You know why they use the wood is to block it out for that EMT. That could be a problem for us.
So what, resecure the wood or? Oh, or
Oh.
look right here, Joel.
Oh,
Ooh,
the old one.
coming in. So
gorgeous.
I could re-tapcon that wood if you want me to.
Man,
It looks like cedar. It isn't a bad idea. I mean, to have it down there. I think.
let's see what our, so we're 2 3/8 to the 2 3/8. That's gonna be way less.
Yeah, it is.
So 2 3/8 is the front side of our hole here and the back side of our conduit there.
So we definitely need some type of, maybe actually
You wanna do strut? Just 2 pieces of, two
do
pieces
have
of strut?
some.
You got some? Let's do that. You wanna cut us,
wait, are you saying junior or senior?
let's do, one's a little slight, one's a little strong here. Let's see. Yeah, there's some. Okay, senior. 2 pieces, you want to go ahead and cut them to length out there so we keep the mess. I like the phrase, the antiseptic to litigation is full disclosure. How our contract to the customer reads for this project is verification, among other things, a verification of grounding and bonding, not performance, right? So you don't always know until you rip things apart and you're like, oh, this ground wire I found is undersized and it's going here and it's been cut off and the water heater was replaced and never reattached. Like some of that investigative, you don't get 100% all the way in until you have the job, but you've got to define where the boundary lines are. And so to the customer, I'm going to communicate, hey, I'm going to check, I'm going to ensure the condition of the ground, whether it is or is not code compliant. And then I'm going to come back to you with an additive change order if I need to run a number 2 copper wire all the way across the basement to replace what's, or number 4, what's deficient. So verification as opposed to installation. And it's important to get the language right and to communicate that to the customer where they might find additive change orders so that when they're standing right here next to you, you're looking them in the eye, there's that verification of honesty when someone can look at your eyes, your tonality, your posture, body language, right? And they can be like, all right, I like the way he's communicating this. That sounds legit. I can proceed on that basis, knowing that if he's gonna make my house safer because of something they find, they're gonna communicate it first, inform me of cost, and then throw that on top of the pile. So that's a tip from my perspective. If you find yourself getting nickeled and dimed and bumping into conflict with your customers, let's spend some time together. Top of the description, EPro for Masters. Guys like you and me, operating our businesses, figuring things out together, sharing best practices, moving things forward. We got that booger out. It's time for lunch. Join us for part 2 when we come back to put the pretty one back in. And subscribe to Electric Pro Academy for real skills to make real money. Let's keep that. That's good. Let's keep this too.